The three-brain theory is something absolutely fantastic. It's a new way to look at why people do what they do. Once you understand the three-brain theory, you're going to keep using that again and again and again to look at what people do, how they do it, why they do it, different levels of interpretation of their behavior and what they're going to say about it. The three-brain theory is really going to change your life, and the way you look at advertising, product management, leadership, reward, recognition, loyalty, everything is going to be changed. So let me tell you first the three brains. The number one, the most important part of the brain is the reptilian brain. Reptilian, like reptile. Why do we call that the reptilian brain? First, it looks like a reptile. It's within the embryo, we already have this kind of shape of a snake, if you want. Second, we might have that in common with the reptiles. If you believe in evolution, it looks like sometime in the remote past, we were reptile. And so we still have this part of the brain. We're born with it. It's not acquired. It's something that is inherited, congenital. And when we have this reptilian brain, we are programmed for two major things. One is to survive, and the other one is reproduction. And these key elements are absolutely crucial and fundamental to understand the survival of the species. If we can't survive and if we can't reproduce our genes, this is the end of the species. So we can see how powerful is this reptilian brain. If it was not functioning, that would be the end of the human species. And by the way, every animal, every mammal have the same reptilian brain, and if their reptilian brain was not functioning, that would be the end of their species. So this is the power of this reptilian brain. What means reproduction? It means that somewhere, even if we don't understand exactly, instinctively, and the word instinct is crucial here, instinctively we know what to do. There is a reptilian intelligence. It's a program for survival. We know what to do, we know what is a priority here. The second element is reproduction. It might sound very surprising for some of you when I'm going to say that, but beauty is a reptilian dimension. What do I mean by that? I mean that from one culture to another, what means beautiful? Beautiful means my genes with the genes of this person combined together have more chance to survive. So if I am in an Eskimo country, a beautiful woman is going to be very round, very fat, and very oily, by the way. Why? Because she has more chance to go through winter. And if I combine my genes with her genes, the children are going to be well preserved for winter and have more chance to survive. In another culture where what is really necessary for survival is to be able to run fast when the lion are trying to catch you, long legs become very beautiful. Why? Because it means that my genes with you have more chance to survive to run away from the lion. So this notion of relativity of, quote, beauty can be understood with the reptilian brain. Somewhere unconsciously, I'm programmed to be attracted by people that give more chance to my genes to survive. So we see the power of the reptilian. We know basic thing that on television, when you have a very famous actor or comedian, and if with this person you have a baby or a puppy, the baby and the puppy always win. They always catch your attention. Why? Because our reptilian brain is so highly motivated, turned on by this notion of survival and reproduction. Why? Because the reproduction, the baby are the future of my genes. When I say reproduction, especially in the American culture, people immediately think sex. Well, if you look at the reproduction dimension, sex is a very short time. Taking care of the baby, helping children to grow, takes a long, long, long time. So Sex is just one short moment, one short element of this reproduction. Growth, taking care of my children, making sure the children are going to survive, that my genes are going to survive. That is a lot more crucial and a lot more important. We have accomplished our mission at the reptilian level when we have our several generations of our genes in front of us. We can see the future. I remember in one of the imprinting sessions, a participant, I don't know, a man was maybe in his 70s, told us that he was feeling very good about everything because he just went for Thanksgiving to see his family, and he had this very long table with all his members of his family around the table, and he could see his children and his grandchildren and his grandchildren, babies, over the table, around the table. And he could see like 3 generations toward the future of his own genes. And he had a feeling of accomplishment. He said, I feel good. You know, if I have to go tomorrow, I know I've done the best I could for my family. And this whole notion of, you know, why are we American? What is the American spirit? When we say we want to create a better world for our children, we want to make a difference. Think about that in the reptilian level. We want to create a better environment for our genes to survive. In many ways, this notion of survival and reproduction, it gives us some kind of immortality. When our genes are going to survive, our children are going to survive, we're not going to really die. When I'm not going to be around anymore, my genes are still going to be over there. So we can see the power of the reptilian, and as you know, I explained that in my book, The 7 Secrets of Marketing. The reptilian always wins, and I will come back to that in a short while. The second brain, which is another very fascinating part of the brain, is the limbic brain. The limbic is the emotional brain. Emotions are something that, a dimension that we have sometimes a hard time to understand. And according to the American culture, as we know, men have more difficulties with emotion than women. And we can say in many ways that there is a feminine approach to emotion and a masculine approach to emotions. So what is this brain? What is it about the limbic brain? First, emotions are never simple. They're always contradictory. I love and hate and both at the same time. Mothers will tell you that, oh, I love my children. Oh, sometimes I could kill them. Oh, God, these children are so disturbing. I could kill them. I love them. Oh, so you love them or you want to kill them? Well, you see, this is emotion. This is life. I love them, but, you know. And so this is the same between husband and wives, between friends. You know, you have this emotion dimension that is very, very complex. So when customers tell you they love you, okay, is this good? Well, we think it is good. We say we want people to love us, to love the company, to love the products. Fine. What if they love your products and never buy your products? Is this good? Would you rather have them hating you, hating your products, and buying them all the time? I mean, this is not that simple. It's not logical. It's emotional. And so what is fascinating understanding this part of the brain is, even if it's emotional, there is a logic. I call that the logic of emotion, which is one step at a time. It's a little bit like seduction. You have to follow a critical path. You have to do one thing and then the next thing and then the next thing. And this logic of emotion, this order of things that you have to go through, varies from one culture to another, which is quite fascinating because this is really acquired. This is imprinted. If I go back to the first brain, the reptilian brain, we're born with it. The second brain, the limbic brain, the emotional brain, it's acquired. It's mainly the relationship with the mother from 0 to, let's say, 5, around 5, that create structure, shapes this part of the brain. And because it's in relationship with the mother, of course, this emotional dimension is a very strong feminine dimension. In most of the cultures, the father is outside hunting, trying to kill the lion or bring some food, and the mother has a continuum of the womb in some ways. If we go back to biology again, the child comes from the mother. So we have something in common all over our human species, is that we all come from a woman. So our first experience of an inside of a woman. Then we're born, but we're still attached. We have the umbilical cord with the mother. And then if we don't have the umbilical cord anymore, we still have the mother around us, hugging, touching, surrounding us. And then we're going to go a little bit further away, but we still need to go back sometime to be breastfed. Breastfeeding is a very important part, or with the bottle, but this is still in the arm of the mother. So it's a little bit like this circle. We were inside the circle, we went outside the circle, but now we're still trying to get close, take in contact with the circle again and again and again. So this is a relationship with the mother, and through that we have love and hugging and sharing and the warmth and the roundness that are absolutely key. So we learn that in the relationship with the mother. It's very rare that we learn that with the father. The father is always absent or outside or doing some other things. So this is really a learning from the mother. That's why this emotional dimension has a very, very strong feminine dimension. The third brain is the cortex, and the cortex is mainly intellectual. It's supposed to be rational, logical, thinking, and this part of the brain is not really in place before we are 7. I did a lot of work with the Piaget team in Geneva, and Piaget spent a lot of time trying to discover the stages of growth, of different stages of for the child to acquire all the mental tools that he has. And one of the findings of the Piaget team and Piaget himself was that we don't have the full mental tools of the cortex in place before we are 7, of course around 7 as usual. What is happening? Before 7, children don't have what we call the conservation of quantity. You take 2 bowls of clay and you ask the child, is it the same quantity of clay? Is it the same? So the child will tell you, yeah, this is the same quantity of clay in these 2 bowls of clay. All right. Then you take one, and out of this clay you make a snake. And now you say to the child, there is a clay. Now where do you have these 2? One is a bowl, one is a snake. Where do you see more clay? Where there is more quantity? And the child, before 7, he would say, oh, now there is more here because it's a long snake. Or there is more here because it's round, whatever. But the child doesn't see that the shape of the clay doesn't change the quantity. He doesn't have the mental tools to accept the conservation of quantity. If you ask the same questions after 7, the child will look at you and say, why are you asking? You think I'm dumb or what? I mean, this is it. He has the mental tools. So this is very crucial to understand that everything that has been imprinted at a very early age is before the intellectual, before the intellect dimension, and is a lot more powerful. And that's why, again, the message is the reptilian always win. What is the cortex about? The cortex is about, oh, let's make things cold, let's cool down, let's try to understand, which, by the way, means maybe stand under, understand, which is another interesting expression here. And let's try to understand, let's try to get the positive and the negative and make a choice, a rational choice. It takes some time, is delay. The cortex always delay things. And then the cortex deal with numbers. The cortex is into control, numbers, verification, order. And so, which is not very natural. Actually, it's a very artificial way to try to slow down the process. Each time you speak about number, think about reward and recognition. If you give numbers, I'm going to give you 10%. Well, this is interesting because you are interested in money, like everybody, to pay your bills. But if you have a reptilian reward, we know it's going to be more powerful than a cortex one. Or even if you have a limbic, it's going to be more powerful than cortex. So that's why we know that in the reward and recognition system, money is important, but it's the weakest way to reward people because it's cortex. So if we try to understand now the connection between the three brains, the reptilian is very quick. A notion of time, the reptilian is quick, is instinct, reflex. All right. The limbic is energy, a lot of energy, emotion. And we know that there is no imprint in the brain without emotion. Emotion is the energy that produces the neurotransmitters in the brain needed to create the connection. What about the cortex? Well, the cortex is control. The cortex is going to slow down the reptilian. Don't be aggressive. Don't be too strong on that. Just calm down, relax. The notion of delay, the notion of time, take the time, think, think several times before you say something, because like this you're not going to make a mistake. And so this is the notion of the cortex, to control. Going to school, children learn to use their cortex. I mean, you're never supposed to be too loud, you're never supposed to move too much, you're never supposed to yell, to cry. I mean, this is the cortex trying to control. Education, in many ways, is an education of the cortex, trying to force the cortex to take over the limbic and the reptilian. And the result is that we have very cold people sometimes that are out of touch with their emotions and out of touch with the reptilian dimension of survival that they had when they were children. Now, if we understand now these three brains and the way they function, I would like to go back to the notion of imprinting. Imprinting is a key element of the creation in our mind of the archetype, of the mental structure, the cultural mental structure that we're going to use again and again and again. I could call that mental highways. We create connection in the brain that we're going to keep using again and again during the rest of our lives. How do we do that? Well, the very first experience we have as a child, when we're born, are very strong, imprinted through the reptilian, because the reptilian is almost the only part of the brain that is really active here. And this already, the program is there already. We know that inside means mother. We know that warmth is important to survive. We know that we have to breathe. I mean, this is not knowing in terms of cortex. It's just a program that we have at the reptilian level. And if this program doesn't work, we're dead. So there is no choice here. Now, the second brain is the emotion. Emotion is a key element because it gives us some signals about the good and the bad, the survival and the no survival, what is going to survive and what is not going to survive. I believe, and that might be a little surprise to some of you, that love has been invented at a certain time because it gave more chance, first, to the little children to survive, and second, between men and women. If the men stay around and love the mother, once again, he will protect the children and the children will have more chance to survive. So this is again survival and reproduction and taking care of my genes. And so love, emotional dimension of love, was created to maintain the contact, to create a duration. The reptilian is very short term. Done, I'm gone, it's finished. But because of the limbic, then suddenly the parents has to stay around longer. They get more involved in children. We have data that prove that children that are loved by their parents have more chance to grow, to be sane, and to survive than the ones that are not loved by their parents, which sounds kind of obvious. So the limbic as a function, again, the reptilian is primal here, but the limbic as a function to help the reptilian. Then the next step is the cortex. The cortex, again, is supposed to bring the rational dimension to help you to have more chance to survive and to reproduce. The problem with the cortex is that because it's programmed to control, to slow down, sometimes it goes too far in this direction. And we have too much control, then we don't have the spontaneity anymore. The conflict there is absolutely amazing, because when people say, give me a good reason to believe. A reason to believe. Why do I need a reason to believe? If I believe, I believe. A reason is a cortex. Believe is a limbic. Why should I need a reason to believe? And that's kind of surprising. Give me a good reason to love you. Well, do mothers have a good reason to love their children? Mothers just love their children. Why? This is reptilian. You don't need a reason. And the reptilian always win. It's very clear that whatever your child is going to do, whatever your child is going to react to or whatever, you're going to love your child. Why? Because this is your child. This is your genes, and your program is survival and taking care of your reproduction here. So the conflict between the three, the cortex, the limbic, and the reptilian, it's absolutely amazing. I would like to give you a few examples about the reptilian and why the reptilian always win. I was lecturing in Switzerland at a school, Polytechnicum School of Engineers. And I'm sure some of you are familiar with the engineer mind, how engineers think. They're very cortex. They're supposed to be very cortex, controlling numbers, everything. And I was teaching in this school, and one day one of my students, an engineer, came to my office and told me, Doctor, I have some news for you. I said, well, what is it? Well, I would like to get married. I'm going to get married. Oh, I said, well, this is great. I mean, do you know already your future wife? And he said, no, not yet. But I have a plan. I have a strategy. I have a critical path. I know exactly what I want to get. I have a deadline. And I have 185 specifications. I have my list of specifications. And now I'm going to start working, and I will let you know. I said, wow, this is interesting. Good luck. Let me know when you find her. A few months later, the same guy came and said, Doctor, that's it. You are invited to the wedding. I said, oh, great. Did you find the woman that has the 185 specification? And he said, no, she has none, but I'm in love. That's the big thing. The reptilian always win. The cortex will tell you all the specification. And that's an intellectual approach to reality. But sometimes, when you meet the right person, the reptilian is, whoa, this is it. I don't know. I can't control it. This is it. She doesn't have any of the specification, but I'm in love. Another example I would like to give you is in terms of communication. If you have a reptilian hot button, you're going to win. If the others don't have any reptilian hot button, they only have cortex, they're going to lose. In terms of a product, in terms of a service, in terms of the image of your company, the reptilian always win. When people tell you, oh, switch, you want to switch, I give you $10. Now I give you 25, I give you 35, I give you 55. And you keep switching because numbers don't create loyalty. You don't buy loyalty. Now, are you going to have the same attitude toward your mother, toward your children? No. Why? Because this is reptilian. The loyalty is a gene thing, is stronger than anything. Let me give you an example. Chrysler had a problem with the back door, actually the latch of the back door of the minivan. And I was working with them at the time, and the top people told me, we didn't do anything wrong. We have all the data, we have all the numbers, we know that this is right, there is nothing wrong with this door, right? And so we're not going to pay anything. That was a cortex reaction. We have the numbers, we have the data, we have the scientific dimension. When they had the trial, the woman that had lost her child came and she had just one thing, a reptilian picture. She has a picture of the child that died. and she was crying, and she said, my child died. Right. When you have the reptilian versus the cortex, the reptilian always wins. It doesn't matter what was the reality, the numbers. She got, I think, $185 million award. I mean, you don't need to explain, this is it, this is a reptilian. If you don't have a reptilian dimension, you're never going to win. So, understanding the reptilian is absolutely crucial. We have reptilian words, we have reptilian attitude, but the reptilian will always win. I want to share another thing with you. It's a story that is quite well known about Olin, and that I'm just sharing with you what was published in newspaper and magazine. P&G came up with a product called Olin, Olestra, and it's an oil that doesn't bring you any fat in your body. So it's kind of an ideal product. You can eat all the potato chips you want without having the danger of eating some fat. Now, P&G had like 25 years of research, tons of books published, all the numbers to prove that this Olin product was not more dangerous than eating just regular beans or regular salad. The problem was the enemy had one word, but this word was a reptilian word. He was not arguing about numbers. He was just using one word. When P&G was in the cortex, he was in the reptilian. What was this word? The word was diarrhea. That's it, diarrhea. Now, he had one witness. Oh, Mrs. Brown, tell us, you did eat yesterday some potato chips made with Olin. Tell us how you spent the night. Well, I spent the night in cramps in the bathroom and I was terrible, and that's it. He was winning. Why? Because you cannot fight the cortex. You cannot fight the reptilian with the cortex, and the reptilian always wins. So what can we learn out of that? I think that the marketing strategy and the communication strategy should always take into account the three-brain theory. Your number one purpose should be to discover the reptilian hot button that you can use. The reptilian hot button, like for example, the aroma for Folger coffee, another famous story. What is the aroma here? Aroma is reptilian. Aroma is part of the rhino, the rhinoceros, the nose, the rhinencephale. This part of the brain was called the rhinencephale, rhino, before. And so nose, smell, very powerful. Taste is acquired later. So we know that the aroma is stronger than the taste. Then if you can own the aroma, you are in a better shape than your competitors. So always try to discover a reptilian hot button for your product, your service, or your company. Second, try to understand the logic of emotion. And it sounds like contradictory because it's emotional, but there is a logic. There is an order of things. Think about seduction. You have to do one thing in a certain order, otherwise you turn off people. So how to turn on people. And third, then you need the cortex. But the cortex becomes an intellectual alibi. The cortex is a rationale that you need in some ways to feel good about what you're going to do anyway. I'm going to do it anyway, but give me the good numbers to feel good about that. And so the intellectual alibi is not the key element of the communication anymore. The key element is the reptilian. The intellectual alibi is just an alibi. So why do you buy four-wheel drives in Manhattan? Well, just in case I need to go off-road in Manhattan, so the off-road thing is an intellectual alibi. Most of the people that buy four-wheel drive never go off-road. 97% of these people never go off-road, and they want to keep the four-wheel drive very clean and perfect. And so what is the motivation here? We know the motivation of four-wheel drive. They want to have to be tall and high. Why? Because they get a feeling of security. Now, if you use your cortex, security, when you're tall and you have a high vehicle, you have a danger of turning around, rollover. So this is not safe. It doesn't matter. The perception is what matters. The reptilian perception. If I'm taller, I have more chance to survive. So if you arrive with a little Pinto and you're drunk and you bump into my big sport utility vehicle, you die and I don't. That's survival. This is very simple. This is a jungle out there. That's what people told me. They want to buy a tank. They want to buy a Hummer. I even told the people that were making cars, I say, put a machine gun on top and you're going to sell it better. Why? Because this is a reptilian. I want to be strong. I want to survive. I want to fight. I'm going to kill you. You're not going to kill me. That is the message. Now then, all this dimension, I call that sometimes non-usage features, things that you never use, four-wheel drive. This is an intellectual alibi. The price is another intellectual alibi. Always. Numbers are always intellectual alibi. But give me the intellectual alibi to feel good about what I'm going to do anyway, but give me a good alibi, give me a good excuse. Then I can do it and feel comfortable about it. Understanding the three levels, every communication strategy should have a reptilian, a limbic, and a cortex strategy. Sometimes the reptilian is just an image. We know that babies are very powerful. Let me give you an example. When we did the work for Michelin, the tires, look at this commercial. It's so reptilian. You have a tire and you have a baby inside the tire. What do you need to say? You don't need to say much after that. Do you need to say that you want to protect your children, that this is safe, that this is... No, you don't need to say all that. This is a reptilian message. The tire and the baby inside. Boom. Then after that we can say, oh, we did 20 years of research to create the best product possible. Cortex, give me an alibi. And the price is one of the best prices. Give me an alibi. But already I have the reptilian. To save your baby, are you going to negotiate the price? I mean, this is where are the priorities here. If I want to protect my baby, I mean, I'm not going to go into the mood of negotiating the price. If I'm not involved at the reptilian at an emotional level, of course I'm going to negotiate the price. So this is where we have to understand the priorities. People that are in advertising, they have to understand that there are sometimes reptilian messages that don't go into words. Sometimes images are more powerful, sounds are more powerful than words. Cortex is always words, and limbic is feelings and emotion. Once we understand the three brains, then we can have a very powerful communication and a powerful archetypal communication. And this three brain theory is completely connected with the way we imprint archetype in the brain.